And now, Sheldon the Sleep Monster, written by Michael Besley, based on an original story by David Jablonski, narrated by Bruce Miles. Chapter 1. Always hiding, never found, feet that float above the ground, tiny hands and great big eyes that don't belong to the world outside. At the edge of shadow to a breaking heart is precisely where our story starts. What is there to say of something mysterious? Is it beautiful? Is it ugly? Is it foul or pleasant? Just or cruel? If we could answer those questions, we most likely wouldn't find something mysterious. So maybe it goes without saying that we assume too much, and if we go in with only the question of, what is it? We'll find the answer surprises us. The roaring sound of truck engines, squeaky brakes, and clattering furniture filled the air on this late summer day in the quiet mountainside town of New Hollow. A small house was the source of all this commotion, as a young couple had just decided to clear out some space for their young daughter. They thought nothing of what they might be disturbing, and stood patiently in the yard waiting for the movers to finish. "Can you be careful with those things?" Owen yelled from a distance. "Boss, Max and I are trying our best. It's heavy," Phil griped, while dragging an arm across his sweat-drenched forehead. Owen shook his head in shame. Max came marching across the lawn. "If it weren't for this big, worthless beast, we'd have everything taken care of." Max shoved a finger in Phil's face. "Get out of my face! What are you going to do about it?" Max scoffed, and then jabbed his finger back. Phil grabbed Max and tackled him to the ground. "What are you two doing?" Owen tried to break up their fighting, but found himself getting roped in. Dirt flew, and the young couple stared in awe as they watched the three continue to brawl. Phil finally laid flat on top of Max and Owen. He looked up at the couple and blinked twice. "Oh, did you just see that?" The woman was too shocked to reply, and she and her husband both nodded their heads in slow agreement. Owen clawed his way out from underneath Phil's heavy body. "I am so sorry," Owen stammered as the couple gawked. "They don't exactly know how to act around people." "Oh, of course not," the young man said blankly. "Did you get the bed from the spare room?" "My two esteemed colleagues were just on their way to do so." Owen menacingly put his hands on Phil and Max's shoulders. "Isn't that right, boys?" Phil and Max gave each other a worried look and replied in unison, "Yes, sir." The couple walked away, and just as Phil and Max were about to follow suit, Owen pulled them back. "I want you to know that I will not have two lowly truck drivers disparaging my great reputation," he said with a hiss. "Oh, and don't let the monsters get you," the young man joked. Phil's eyes became extremely wide, and he stared in horror. You can't be serious." "No, of course I'm not serious. Settle down." Owen shoved the men forward and walked away while the pair stumbled across the yard to the front door. Phil threw the door open wildly and stepped inside with Max close on his heels. They didn't see, but as the door shut, shadowy figures stealthily moved across the hall upstairs. "Sheldon, be quiet," his mother hissed. "I think they want to play with us," he exclaimed as he walked over to the edge of the stair railing. "Son, they don't want to play. We can't be seen," his father said sternly. Sheldon's father gathered his family and ushered them away from the stairs. Furniture crashed to the floor from clumsy deliverymen, and grunts could be heard as they strained their muscles. With each nerve-wracking crash, Sheldon's parents became more and more on edge. Who are these people? What if we are seen? They thought to themselves. Though the day's activities had failed to raise any kind of alarm in Sheldon's mind. "It looks like fun! Crash! Boom! Crash!" Sheldon yelled before his father covered his mouth and pulled him in close. The noise of the house was currently a safeguard. Sheldon's father guided Sheldon and his mother into a back corner of the house and into the spare bedroom. Sheldon's mother wrapped her arms tightly around her son and begged for him to remain quiet. Cobwebs hung from every wall and flakes of dust danced through the sunlight in this forgotten room. Sheldon's father closed the door slowly and motioned for his family to press themselves against the wall. He quietly pulled the curtains together and softly shut the door. There was nothing that the family could do now but wait.
"Phil, can you stop watching everyone else work and do something?" Max scorned.
"Hey, Maxie, we gotta go upstairs, remember?"
"Oh, dang, that's right. Well, get out of the way and move."
"One of these days, I'm gonna sit on you,"
Phil stated blankly. Max stared back and shoved Phil to the side and trotted angrily up the stairs.
"Max, wait!"
Phil yelled.
"What could you possibly want? I don't want the monsters to take you." "The monsters aren't gonna take me. Didn't you hear him? He said he was kidding."
Max ran up the stairs and marched towards the spare bedroom door. Phil jumped in front of him and thrust his stomach out to stop him.
"I don't want to let you in."
"Well, you don't have a choice. We need to get this stuff out of here."
They both stared at each other.
"Today!"
Max shouted firmly. Max barreled into Phil, but it was no use. Phil's girth was too great.
"Come on, Phil, I don't have time for this."
"Just let me open it. Someone scrawny like you would definitely get eaten."
"Hey, I'm not scrawny."
On the other side of the door, Sheldon was restless. The argument between the two men had only bolstered his excitement, and with each passing second, Sheldon was slipping from his mother's grasp. Phil placed his hand nervously on the door. As the knob began to rattle, Sheldon finally wriggled out from his mother's arms and rushed to the center of the room. Before the door could open, as if she were saving him from an oncoming truck, Sheldon's mother shoved him out of the way and under the bed. Phil threw open the door to the room and looked around. Nothing.
"See, Phil, there's no one here. I bet you feel foolish.
Better safe than sorry, I always say."
"Is it you who always says that, huh?" Max retorted. Phil walked across the room and casually sat on top of the mattress. The pressure of his enormous weight pushed the mattress down and smushed Sheldon's face into the floor.
"Do you think anyone would even want this thing, Maxie?"
Phil puzzled.
"Well, you know Owen. He thinks all junk is treasure. Now hurry up. Let's move this thing."
Phil got up from the bed, and the two men positioned themselves along each end.
"We doing this thing, frame and all, Phil?" "Sure, Maxie, if we can get it through the door."
They gripped the bed as tight as they both could, and Sheldon panicked. He climbed up into the frame of the bed, just below the springs. He held on as tightly as his little hands could bear and felt himself rise from the floor. The two men grunted and heaved as they carried Sheldon out of the room, down the stairs, and onto a delivery truck. His parents could do nothing but watch in horror as their child was taken from them. On that fateful day, Sheldon hid in the belly of that bed, with not a clue as to where he was going, or how to escape. Trapped in the dark and entirely alone, Sheldon's journey had only just begun.